The storm had started before sunset, rolling across the mining plains like a wall of black metal. On the outer edge of Colony K-17, storms were not weather. They were events people prepared for like war. The charged dust carried enough magnetic interference to blind drones, disable vehicles, and cut power to anything not shielded underground. That was why everyone in the settlement had locked their doors by dusk. Everyone except me. My repair shed sat farther from the colony than most homes because the noise from my salvage engines irritated the neighbors. It was a narrow metal structure built from old cargo panels, surrounded by broken machine parts, stripped engine cores, and half-repaired transport units that clients never came back to claim. I liked it that way. Less noise from people. More honesty for machines. I was sealing the outer hatch when I heard something impossible through the storm. A voice. Weak. Human at first glance, but wrong somehow, stretched strangely by the wind. I stepped outside with a lamp shielded under my coat. The storm hit like gravel against my face. At first I saw nothing. Then movement near the old freight trench. Someone crawling. I ran. The figure collapsed before I reached her. A woman. Thin, pale skin with faint silver markings across her neck and wrists, half hidden beneath torn dark fabric. Blood, dark blue, not red, ran from a wound along her side. Not human. Alien. And very much alive. Her eyes opened briefly when I lifted her. Silver. Sharp even through pain. She tried to speak but only managed one breath before losing consciousness. I should have called colony security. That was the legal answer. Outer colonies had strict protocols for unidentified off-worlders, especially injured ones appearing near mining routes during storm blackout hours. Instead, I carried her inside. Some decisions happen before logic arrives. Inside the shed, I locked every hatch and placed her on the repair table after clearing away tools. The med scanner I owned was old, civilian grade, barely reliable for human injuries. It immediately flashed warning symbols I had never seen before. Helpful, I muttered. The wound was deep but clean, like plasma burn rather than blade damage. She had been shot. I cleaned it carefully, sealed it with synthetic patch foam, then wrapped thermal blankets around her because her body temperature kept dropping. Hours passed. The storm outside deepened. Near midnight, she woke suddenly and grabbed my wrist with surprising strength. Her eyes focused instantly. Not confused. Assessing. Dangerous. You are not armed, she said quietly. Her voice carried a precise accent unlike any language group I knew, yet perfectly understandable. I own tools, I replied. Some of them are sharp. She released me slowly. Why help me? I leaned back in the chair beside the table. You were bleeding outside my door. Seemed inconvenient to ignore. That almost looked like amusement in her expression. Then she studied the walls, the machines, the poor lighting, the exposed wiring. This is your dwelling? This is where I work. Your standards are brave. You're welcome. She actually smiled. Briefly. Then pain returned, and her expression hardened. Did anyone see me? No. Good. That answer carried urgency. Too much urgency. Should someone be looking for you? I asked. Yes. Friends? No. That was enough to keep me alert all night. She refused to give her name. Refused to explain the wound. Refused water at first until I convinced her she would collapse again without it. By morning the storm passed. Sunlight cut through cracked roof panels in pale beams. She stood before noon despite the injury, moving carefully but determined. You should rest another day, I said. I cannot. You can barely stand. I have stood through worse. That sounded believable. Before leaving, she stopped near the doorway and looked at the old metal shelf where I kept spare transmitter parts. Then her gaze returned to me. You could have sold information about me. I know. You did not. No. She hesitated. For the first time, uncertainty crossed her face. Then she said quietly, I will remember that. And left. No ship. No vehicle. She simply disappeared into the rocky plains beyond the colony perimeter. I expected that to be the end of it. By evening, I almost convinced myself she had been a strange storm hallucination made real only by the blue blood still staining my repair table. Then colony security arrived. 3 vehicles. Armed officers. Their commander stepped out holding a projection tablet. "We're investigating unauthorized movement near outer sectors," he said. "A ship was detected entering atmosphere last night." I kept my expression flat. "Storm probably scrambled half your readings." He showed me a blurred image. A damaged pod. Near my sector. "Did you see anything unusual?"
No.
He searched my face for several seconds. Then noticed the patch foam wrapper in my waste bin. "What injury were you treating?" I held up my left hand. "Cut knuckles from yesterday's engine repair." He looked unconvinced but lacked proof. Eventually, they left. That should have settled it. Instead, 2 days later the sky changed. Every person in Colony K-17 came outside because shadows crossed the ground before sound arrived. Not one ship. An entire fleet. Black triangular vessels descending through atmosphere in perfect formation. Silent. Massive. The colony sirens activated instantly. Children ran indoors. Workers froze mid-yard. Security officers suddenly looked very small. One central vessel lowered directly over the colony square. No weapons fired. No demands broadcast. A ramp descended, and soldiers emerged. Tall armor, polished silver-black plating, energy staffs instead of rifles. Not pirates. Not traitors. Royal by posture alone. Then she appeared. The woman from my shed. But no longer in torn clothing. Now she wore dark ceremonial armor lined with luminous silver patterns. A crown of thin metallic arcs rested above her silver eyes. Her wound was gone. Her posture had changed too, not stronger, but unmistakably elevated, like gravity itself answered differently around her. The entire colony watched in stunned silence. And then something even stranger happened. Every soldier behind her knelt. Even colony security forgot to breathe. She walked directly through the crowd toward me. People moved aside without being asked. When she stopped in front of my repair shed, the commander of colony security whispered, "You know her?" I ignored him. The woman looked at me exactly as she had during the storm, except now the weight behind her eyes explained everything. "You did not report me," she said.
No.
"You gave shelter to someone your laws would classify as unknown threat. You were injured." A faint smile returned. Then she turned to the entire colony. Her voice amplified effortlessly across the square. "I am Queen Seralith of the Vereen sovereignty." The reaction hit like delayed thunder. A queen. Not noble. Not officer. A queen. Even the security commander nearly dropped to one knee before remembering he did not know proper alien protocol. She faced me again. 3 nights ago, assassins attacked my transport while I traveled without escort to avoid civil surveillance within my own court. That explained the wound. They believed I died in the storm. And now they know they failed. A second ship descended. This one carrying officials, diplomats, and enough military force to erase the colony if they wished. Instead, Queen Seralith did something no one expected. She extended her hand toward me. "You will come with me." The colony erupted in whispers. The commander stepped forward nervously. "Majesty, with respect, this citizen." She silenced him with one glance. This citizen preserved a sovereign life. Then to me, "You may refuse." That surprised everyone more than the fleet. I looked at my repair shed. My unfinished engine work. My ordinary life. Then at the ships overhead. "This sounds like the kind of invitation that becomes complicated." "It already is," she replied. That honesty convinced me more than diplomacy would have. So I went. The royal vessel interior looked less like military design and more like architecture built by people who trusted silence. No wasted movement. No bright displays. Silver corridors curved with soft light beneath the floor. As we ascended, Queen Serlith finally explained the truth. Her empire was stable publicly, fractured privately. Several noble houses wanted control of succession authority and military command. Her disappearance during storm transit had given them confidence. Her survival and return would expose traitors. Then why involve me? I asked. Because they know someone sheltered me. And they will search for weakness. I frowned. You think I'm bait? She met my eyes calmly. I think kindness becomes dangerous in political systems built on fear. That answer stayed with me. At the capital world, I understood scale. Her palace was suspended between crystal towers above an ocean city. Thousands of lights beneath us. Air traffic moving like constellations. And every landing platform filled with armed officials pretending calm. Inside the throne chamber, noble houses gathered. Their expressions changed visibly when they saw me walking beside her. A human mechanic beside a queen. Deliberate scandal. She sat upon the throne only after crossing the chamber in complete silence. Then spoke. 3 houses sent assassins. No introduction. No diplomacy. Pure impact. Shock spread instantly. One noble protested. Another demanded proof. Queen Serlith lifted one hand. A recording projected above the chamber captured helmet signals from the attackers, house insignias hidden but unmistakable under spectrum analysis. Voices. Orders. Names. The chamber froze. Then one noble drew a concealed weapon. He never fired, because instinct moved before thought. I stepped forward when I saw the angle. Not heroically, simply because I recognized intent too late to calculate fear. The energy shot struck the guardrail beside me, not the queen. Royal soldiers reacted instantly. The attacker was down in seconds. But the hall had already changed. Not because I blocked anything dramatic. Because I moved when everyone else hesitated. The queen stood slowly. You see, she said to the court, a stranger acted before blood-bound loyalty. No one answered. 3 noble houses were arrested before nightfall. By then I expected my role finished. Instead, Queen Serlith requested I remain until political transition stabilized. Days became a week. A week became 2. I repaired a damaged atmospheric relay in one palace district because apparently royal engineers disliked admitting simple faults. That earned me unexpected respect from palace staff. One evening, she found me on an observation balcony overlooking the lower ocean lights. You still prefer machinery to ceremony, she said. Machinery usually breaks for honest reasons. She considered that. In my court, honesty often arrives disguised. You arrived disguised. Her silver eyes softened slightly. I arrived bleeding. That too. For the first time, she laughed fully. Quiet, but real. Then she asked something unexpected. When you first saw me in the storm, why were you not afraid? I answered honestly. You looked more exhausted than dangerous. And now? I looked toward the city, then back at the crown reflecting pale light. Now I know dangerous was accurate. She accepted that. Then removed the crown briefly, setting it beside her on the railing. Without it, she looked closer to the woman from my repair table again. More real. Less untouchable. My people believe survival creates obligation, she said quietly. You owe me nothing. That is why obligation remains. Weeks later, when my transport prepared to return me home, the colony received more upgrades in 1 hour than it had seen in 20 years. Shield systems, medical units, power stabilizers, all royal funded. Officially listed as trade partnership. Unofficially, everyone knew why. Before departure, Queen Serlith met me at the landing platform. No ceremony this time. Only 2 guards at distance. You may return whenever invited, she said. That sounds suspiciously like future trouble. It often is. Then she handed me a small metallic token engraved with royal markings. Access clearance, she explained. For repairs? For entering without being arrested. Useful. As my shuttle doors closed, I looked once more at the crown she wore now under morning light. Days earlier, she had been a wounded stranger on my workbench. Now Fleets answered her voice. Yet the last thing she said before the ramp sealed was simple. You kept your word without making one. Back on Colony K-17, people asked endless questions. I answered almost none, because some truths sounded too strange even after seeing them. But every storm since then, when wind hits the metal walls at night, I remember silver eyes opening under repair lights, and how kindness offered to a stranger once returned wearing a crown.